How does a lack of clarity about one's career goals and personal identity contribute to feelings of loneliness and isolation among young individuals? And what strategies can they employ to address these feelings?
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a pandemic we're facing today, where people feel they don't have a clear self-image of themselves, because also many young people are coming from dysfunctional families, isn't it? So that is affecting how they are growing up. Maybe they've not had people who affirm them, parents who guide them properly, isn't it? So you find there's a lot of young people who have that void of their self-identity. They've not been assured that they are great in who they are. Yeah? And as a result of that, of course, it results in many issues, some of which we've already touched on. Inadequacy, people feeling like, am I good enough? Yeah. First of all, I want to urge all young people listening here that you are enough. Through God, you are enough. Yeah. It's not about degrees or accolades that make you better than somebody else. Yeah. God has given us, made us in His image and likeness. Yeah, and that's the most important thing to start with. The image and likeness of God that we carry as believers. But even secondly, like I said earlier, God has given all of us abilities, gifts, talents that also boost that self-identity. Yeah? But the most important identity that we carry is that, God is our Father. And the relationship we have with God is one thing that we should not lose sight of. So despite where you are, that's a very important thing to always remember. So when back to the career bit about how that can lead to feelings of inadequacy. I meet a lot of young people who feel inadequate because I don't know what I want to become, for example. But to me, that's not even the main issue, because you can navigate this world with the right guidance and counseling from people, And so that's why I ask people, please find the right people to work with you. Those people who can speak into your self-identity, yeah? If you don't have parents, it's okay. You can find people, who can support you if, despite not having, parental guidance. You can be able to get older people who can walk the path with you, mentor you in matters of the heart, in matters of your identity, in matters of your self-image, But importantly is go back to God's word and what it says about who you are. That alone can push you forward. Even as you're trying to navigate what your career choices are. Yeah? I always say everybody has a talent. Yeah? It's maybe you don't know what it is. But there is something that God has given you. And if you don't know, start where you are. Volunteer where you are. I gave you the example of the young lady. She volunteered in her church. Yeah? She was just serving. The best place to start to understand yourself is just start serving somewhere. Volunteer yourself. That's how you start learning the skills, like what you're doing, Catherine. You don't know where this can take you. Volunteer yourself to do things. Yeah? I remember as a young person, one of the things that helped me a lot is just be out there, do something, Whatever your hands find to do, just do with diligence. You do not know what it will open up for you. And so, even when you don't know where you want to be, just start where you are. We always, even when in maths, we were taught to start from the known to the unknown. Yeah?
Yes.
If your mom has a shop, go to the shop, sit there, support her in the shop, isn't it? Yeah. You don't know what skills you learn from just sitting in the shop, helping your parents in their business, helping your parents at home. That way you begin to build some knowledge of yourself, that can actually contribute to helping you navigate your career choice in a very interesting way. Like the lady I shared. She's now understanding what she really loves to do. She's actually understood that she loves to work with data, for example. And all she did is volunteer in the church. She was actually doing manual jobs in the church. She was helping welcome people in church. I think they come from a big church, and she was just helping, welcome guests in the church and talk to them. And so young people, you have to do actual work for you to know yourself better. It won't come by just sitting theoretically behind a computer and, just going to school alone. I tell people, young people trying to get practical skills from activities you can do, volunteer somewhere, yeah? Help your parents, ask them if they have activities to do. Learn a new skill from YouTube, why not, yeah? Learn something new. I mean, my daughter learned how to code by just watching YouTube clips. Why not? Why is it not you? You have extra time at home. It's holiday time. Sit down, go onto YouTube. If there's an area, if you had an interest, you'll find so many free courses. Just start doing them. And that way, what I've found is your self-image improves as you feel you're making progress. You get? When you're static, you actually feel like, because none of us was made to be idle. You get? None of us was made to be idle. So you find that when you feel like you're making progress, even your confidence grows. Yeah? Your self-image also begins to grow. Yeah? Because all of us were made to serve. So when you're actually doing service to mankind in any form you do, it's like that was God's formula. Serve others, you will feel better. Isn't it? Yeah? Give and you'll feel better. It's a counter culture to what people think should happen. But in service is when you actually learn more about yourself. Not sitting back and feeling sorry for yourself. Yeah? Find something to do and you'll just find that more is multiplied to you around knowledge of yourself and more fulfillment in life. I could go on, but maybe let me pause there.
Thank you. The next question is, how does a lack of self-awareness or identity impact a young person's confidence and mental well-being as they navigate their career journey? And what steps can they take to develop a stronger sense of self?
Yeah, so like I said, it all starts from the divine. So for me, it's all of us were created by God. That's a basic. It has to be something that you believe in. You have to believe that you are made for a purpose. There's a scripture I love, which is in Ephesians 2:10. It says we are all God's workmanship. He created us for good works. You've got to trust and believe that you've been created for good works, not for bad works. There's something God has created all of us to do. So that self-knowledge, self-image first about being a child of God is very important. Even before we come to, navigating career paths, that's the first step, of building confidence. Like I said, when you get to understand more of yourself, your confidence grows. So I can give you my own example. I think for a long time, I suffered from my own self-esteem and self-image issues. I was an adult, even I was working. Yeah, but I didn't know myself. That's the truth. I didn't know myself. But when I went on a journey on understanding who I am, accepting who I am, then I began to find myself growing stronger in my faith, but also in my own self-confidence. Because I began to discover, I have these gifts. Before that, I used to feel very inadequate about myself. Because I would compare myself with other people, and I think to myself, I'm not as loud as that one, I'm not as outgoing as that one. I'm a mellow personality, I'm more quiet and reserved. Maybe there's something wrong with me. You get? So, in the process of really working, and I worked with a coach actually. I paid a coach who helped me begin to navigate that process of understanding myself. Yeah? And so I say it's very good to speak to other people. Yeah? So in that process, my confidence began to grow, my acceptance of who I am and what I can do began to grow. Yeah? Even being able to express myself improved as a result of that. So that's what I'm saying now, that that aspect of self-awareness is a very important thing. Finding people who can walk with you to uncover more of who you are. There are people, men of wisdom out there, women of wisdom, who young people can latch onto and begin to develop themselves in that way. Grow in understanding of themselves. The career workshops we do here in Hekima, a lot of times I find that people come to me and say, now I'm really understanding who I am. Yeah, I thought that this aspect of myself had no value, but now I see what value it can have in society. You know, the fact that you are a quiet and reflective person, there's something about it, and that's what I found in myself. I'm more serious oriented myself. Yeah, so I used to find myself too serious, you know, like, oh, surely no. What value does that have, you know? Too serious. But I found that people actually trusted me more because of that. So when they would come to me for advice, maybe it's career advice, they actually trusted me because I would take their matter seriously. Are you seeing that? They would actually trust me because they think I would be very confidential with their information. Are you seeing? So it's something I never thought had much value. I just thought, I'm too serious, the other people are more lively and humorous, I can't crack jokes. But there's value in every character trait, personality trait, skill that God has given you. The thing is, how do you connect that value with what the world needs? That career choice you want to make. There's always a connection between the two. But if you're unable to see that connection, then you will feel inadequate. Yeah? So for me, find those opportunities. Find career workshops. They're all over. Find people who can give you that guidance. In today's generation, we have no excuse. The resources are in abundance, even online, of people who can speak into your life and help you bring out the great value that sits inside of you. And that's where I think most people are struggling. Young people are not listening to the right voices that can bring out the best out of them. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question. There's a certain pressure some of us are going through. Like, for example, I have a friend who's achieved so much more, and we tend to compare ourselves. How can you advise those who are comparing themselves to, like, yes, how can you advise us on such issues?
Okay. I remember a certain mentor I had in the workplace for some time who would always tell me that delay is not denial. Just because maybe you're lagging behind doesn't mean it will never happen. Yeah? But the truth of the matter is all of us have different abilities. And when we all, you know, I will use the analogy of a race, isn't it? There'll always be position 1, 2, 3, and even 10, you know? But that doesn't mean, by the way, the person who is also position 10 in the Olympics is a very good runner. Please note that, in their own right. They are very, very, very good runner because you can't hinder them,
yes.
So the truth of the matter is, yeah, all of us have different stages of maturity. Sometimes some people they call them early bloomers, yeah. But that doesn't mean that because you come later that you're any less important than that person or less adequate. Yeah? The others will always be ahead of you and those will be behind you. That's the truth of the matter. That's how life is. But the most important thing I want to stress is the fact that what you sow is what you reap. So sometimes you don't see that the work and effort this person has been putting in their life that has resulted in the result you're seeing. You're only seeing the end result. You're not seeing what else has happened in the past. Yeah? What seeds have they been sowing? And maybe that's what has worked for them. So you as a young person are sitting passively, while that other person is very active in things that are building them and pushing them ahead of others. Are you getting the point? So there is that angle, and the balance is the other side, that all of us have a different path and pace that God has given us. We cannot all be the president. That's the truth. There can only be one president in Kenya. But that doesn't mean, and they also say, there are many stars in the sky. All of them are shining. None is competing with the other, isn't it? So I want you to take it that all of us are stars, but we shine differently. Yeah? We shine different. We're all shining. That's how God made us. He wants us all to demonstrate His glory. But it will be different. For some of us, it will be, we're going to be a president. For some of us, it means that I will shine in my local community and do great exploits there. I may never be known in a national platform. Yeah? But maybe in my company, there are people who rely on me. So all of us have different levels of expression. Yeah? And that's why it's important never to compare. actually is very important. Never compare, because of the fact that we've been given different. First, we have different mandate in terms of purpose. We don't have the same purpose. So how can you compare two people who don't have the same purpose? Yeah, we have been given different abilities. So how do you compare a guy who's a runner and a person who doesn't run? You know, it doesn't make any sense. But my takeout is this: we're all stars shining on the sky. We can never compete. We all are shining stars in our own right, but it will be a very different expressions, yeah, of God's glory out there. Yeah. So never feel inadequate. Maybe you've just not reached where you're supposed to be. Yeah, we all start journeys. Like now, if we start walking on Koinange Street, all of us walk in different pace. Yeah, one person will be ahead of others, but that doesn't mean they won't finish the race. We're on the race. Yeah, yours is to put the effort to finish the race. It doesn't matter. In God's way, it's not about the person who will reach fast. In fact, a lot of times the Bible operates the opposite. The first shall be last, and the last shall be. So, let's drop the comparisons. That's the message for young people. I know that is one thing that is bringing a lot of social peer pressure on young people when they see my friend, they're already working, they're already doing X, they're already doing Y, they even have a car. All of us have a very different mandate and different path and pace to our lives.
That is very powerful, especially the delay is not denial. I really liked that part. Thank you. The next question will be, what coping mechanisms can young people utilize to manage the stress and uncertainty associated with exploring different career paths and establishing their professional identity?
Okay. Like we are here because of the spiritual platform this is. So for me, the first thing is take it to the Lord in prayer. When you have needs, it's important to remember that first we are spiritual beings. We must pray about everything. In fact, the Bible says, don't be anxious for anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your request be known to God. So I think in everything that we do, let's first start with that step. Let's pray. Let's seek God's guidance on it. Because sometimes the answer is not apparent to you, but with divine intervention, God can open it for you. Secondly, like I said, I think very important is get helpers. Helpers along the way. Some people call them destiny helpers. Every young person needs a mentor, I can tell you. You need a mentor. You need a mentor. I don't know how I can stress this. Even adults, I tell them, look for a mentor, look for somebody. All of us need help. All of us need help. Yeah? In one way or another, because we don't know it all. And you know, the nature of how God created man is that you need to be in community with other people, so that what you don't know, another person will feel it, will complement you, will give you a different perspective. I mean, there's a coach I actually personally meet with on a regular basis. And this person is helping me with my own career navigation. I'm not young. I've done a long time in the world of work, but I still need guidance, yeah? Because I realize that I have my own limitations, even my own belief system about myself might limit or constrain me. So that's why it's always good to have a discussion with people regularly. Find a community of people who you can trust, yeah? Like a board of advisors. You know, every company has a board of directors, yeah, that guides them. As an individual, you also need a board of advisors. 2 or 3 people you regularly meet and bounce off ideas, maybe once a month, once in 2 months, once in a quarter or something, that you sit with and give them a progress update of how you're doing. Yeah, how are you doing, Catherine? How is it going in school? Yeah, and it best not be your parent. You know, your parent has a different role. Yeah, so it's best be somebody else who, you know, can give you advice in an objective way, not subjective. You know, as a parent, with my child, I'll be very subjective because I want a certain thing done. But, you know, a neutral person is always better because they come to you without bias, you know. So I say to them, do that. If you find you're so overwhelmed, please get a counselor. You know, no, it's no longer that season where we must stigmatize seeing a therapist. They even say everybody needs a therapist. Because on occasion, you feel overwhelmed. You're just like, oh, I'm not coping with my life. Yeah? So it's okay to do that. Find spiritual direction, you know. Sit with your pastor, you know. Sit with a spiritual guide who can also input into your life. In fact, a spiritual guide should be one of your board of advisors. Yeah? Somebody who can also give you a new perspective. Of course, some other things that I would add into coping mechanisms: keep yourself healthy, exercise, walk, do a physical activity. One of the things they're actually saying in today's world around the stresses that we are carrying is because we live very sedentary lives, and so we're not very active, and that affects our energy, and that affects even how we cope with situations. For us to build resilience, it means that we've got to put, in fact, there's a friend of mine who always says, learn to do hard things. Mm-hmm. The reason hard things is good to do hard things regularly is because it builds your resilience. It's like if you go to a gym every day and carry a very heavy weight, you know, after some time, you know that weight becomes very light. That's why they keep adding the weights. Today you start with 6 kilos. By 2-3 weeks, that 6 kilos is nothing. It's not challenging you. You now add it to 8. You get? Yes. So when we learn to do hard things, young people, let's not run away from hard things. Let's just learn to stay the course even with hard times, because that's what builds resilience in you. And believe you me, I can tell you, to a young person today, those hard things will kill you. And then what you think is hard today, in 20 years' time, you'll be laughing at yourself and say, what was I thinking that was hard, you know? Like, by the time you're an adult with a family, the things are, you know, the scale and scope of things changes completely. What you're going through in college is like a piece of cake, you know, like, So, believe you me, those hard times are not here to finish you, yeah? In fact, the Bible talks of, count it all joy when you pass through trials and temptations. You know why? Because it builds you. Those hard times build your resilience, yeah? Build your faith. They build your capacity to carry more, to stretch yourself more. And that's what the world looks. I'm telling you, in the world of work, we look for people who can stretch themselves to do much more, to do more with less. That's just how the world is moving. So if you can teach yourself to do hard things when you're younger, the better for you.
Thank you. I hope you guys out there have had, we need help. Everyone needs help, so look for a helper. Thank you.